teacher in Benoni. Okay, I have you. And then Bloemfontein, daughter of 9 years old, ADHD medicine not working. Okay, all right. Okay, so I'm going to start this 19-year-old recently diagnosed with ADHD. Okay, well, welcome. I'm going to check everything. So, and listen, you'll see I'm ADHD myself, right? So I'm going to try my best here with all the screens that's open so that I don't lose any my chain of thought. Luckily, okay. I'm letting everyone in. So welcome everyone. I'm so glad that you are here tonight. My name is Karen and I am the founder and co-owner of BioLink Brain Training. Sorry, I'm just admitting people. And I've been working with families for 18 years. This year we are going to be 18 years old. My sister is Marlies Roberts, and we run our BioLink business across the globe. And I see I've got my friend Alison from Toronto, Canada. She's also here. Hi, Alison. So nice to have you here. Alison is an absolute awesome ADHD coach all the way there from Canada. Okay, so I am a former teacher and Marlies is a former registered nurse. Okay. And like I said, we both have ADHD, adult ADHD, and I love my ADHD, right? I'm turning 55 years old, but I'm managing it and it helps us so much in our business. We are both certified ADHD coaches. But before I tell you anything about what we do and how our business works, and let's talk about ADHD, I want to bring someone in the screen. So he's a real person. So this is my son, Henry. Henry, you can say hello to the people.
Good evening, everyone.
He loves talking. Okay, he loves talking. And I wanted to bring him up because a lot of times I speak of him and I wanted him to be part of this talk because when he was young, oh man, and I get so tearful when I have to talk about this, but I was sitting in a room with a bunch of professionals and they sat there and with complete confidence, they told me that he would not amount to much. And I want you to look at him. He's awesome. Because today he's 26 years old and he runs his own business. He's done a lot of stuff. And one of the things that my husband and I decided when he had all his diagnosis, and I want to talk about him now, but we were going to give him skills. He needed skills to one day when we are not here anymore, that he would be able to cope on his own. So it's not to brag about him. I'm telling you this because when I was sitting in that chair, hearing those words, I was a mom who was exhausted. I was so confused and honestly starting to believe what they were saying. So Henry was first diagnosed with ADHD in grade 1, and then a little bit later on with autism. But he also had severe sensory processing challenges and learning disabilities. So homework in our house was like really blood and tears, and it was a battle. It was a battleground, okay? So, sorry guys, I'm just letting people in. Henry would come home from school already running on empty, and the moment we sat down to do homework, he would just fall apart. Tears, meltdowns, we would fight. He was very strong-willed. He's still strong-willed. But I felt like the worst parent alive. And then the other thing we really struggled with him was impulsivity, because he would react so fast, say the thing before he even thought it. I always said, you shoot first and then you aim, okay? And he really struggled with making friends because he couldn't wait turns. Children didn't want to play with him. And he was really, can't hear you. Can you guys hear me? Someone is saying they can't hear me. Okay. Sabrina, maybe just check your computer. So I felt, you know, as a parent and your child struggles with friends, it's horrible. Okay. And I didn't know how to help him. People always thought because when you are a teacher, you're supposed to know how to help. It doesn't work that way. And also, when it's your own child, it is much more difficult. Okay, so here's the reason why we have a very well established, and we're so proud of our barley business, because it was because of him. When I could help him with everything that we were doing, I wanted to help other parents so that they didn't feel like I was feeling, because I felt so alone. Okay. So yeah, that is Henry. Okay. And guys, at any time, if you have questions, you can just pop it in there. I will have a look at it later on. Okay, I'm just closing my screens, otherwise I'm very distracted. Sorry, guys. Let me just do that and that. Okay. So let me tell you what tonight is not about. Okay, because I think it matters to say this up front. We are not here to put any label on a child. Guys, I can just tell you, I hate labels, okay? And we are not here to hand you another list of strategies that sounds wonderful and you're going to be very excited, and then it falls apart by Tuesday, okay? And we are absolutely not here also to make you feel more guilty than you are already feeling, because I know I felt like the most horrible mom ever. And I don't know, is there anyone that can relate with that? Okay. Is there anyone that sometimes feel like you're the most horrible mom because you are so strict and you're trying to do your best, but you don't know what you're doing? Is there anyone that that has struggled with that as well? Let me just see if I'm not alone. Okay. Seems like I'm not alone. Okay. All right. So what I've learned in 18 years in my work, I can just tell you that if a parent, and even because there's teachers here, if you truly understand what is happening in an ADHD child's brain, everything shifts. The guilt softens, that daily battles starts to make sense. And for the first time, you are going to actually know what this is all about. So this is the goal for tonight, so that you can have a better understanding. So before we can understand ADHD, and I'm not really, guys, this is the 30-minute, 35-minute talk, okay? We need to clear some of the misconceptions out there, some of the labels and the things that people put on children and even adults with ADHD, okay? So the myths, okay? So really, I think it's very important that we talk about that, because they will say, the clever people, it's a behavioral problem. No, the behavior is the signal. It is the only language that your child's brain has to tell you that something is wrong, right? I always say behavior is a communication tool. It is saying, hey, I need help, okay? Because when Henry was melting down after school, that wasn't him trying to be difficult. That was his brain saying, I've got nothing left. I'm running on empty, okay? Another one that people like to say is, no, they are so lazy. They can play video games for 2 hours. Yeah, they can, because, anyone, child or adult, you can hyper focus on something that you love. So yes, they can do that. They're not lazy, okay? The ADHD brain doesn't produce enough dopamine to activate for the task that they find boring and repetitive. Hey, that's homework, schoolwork, okay? So it's not chemistry, it's not an attitude.
Sorry, Karen, we still can't hear you.
Can you guys not hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
I can hear you perfectly.
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
I can hear
Okay.
Very
you.
soft
Okay.
and far
Thank,
away.
thank goodness you can hear me. Otherwise, I had to start from the beginning. Sabrina, I'm not sure what's happening, my darling.
Sabrina, can
Okay.
you hear us? Yeah, she's clearly got a sound problem.
Yeah, she's got a sound problem. Okay. All right. So, okay, let me just quickly go on. So, and then the last one, oh goodness, this one. Better discipline will fix this. And can I tell you, this was me way back when I didn't know what I know now, is I did 2 parenting courses just to try and understand how I should parent him, okay? Because I thought he was just freaking very naughty, okay? So, but you cannot discipline a neurological difference into submission. Consequences have their place, absolutely. I'm a very strict mom, right? But if the skill isn't there yet, no consequence in the world is going to build that. So you wouldn't punish a child for not being able to see on the board. No, you're going to give them some glasses, right? Okay. So, and the fourth one, this is my favorite one because everyone is always so scared to talk about this, is that medication. Okay. Now, I have to, in full disclosure, tell you, when Henry was diagnosed, at that stage, Marlies was actually a representative for Ritalin. Okay. And she told me about the benefits of medication. So I was very open, but I knew that the medicine would not teach the skills. My husband, Dion, is a professor in chemistry. So at that stage, we decided we will go that route because we wanted to help him, right? But we started looking for something out there that would help us, help him teach the skills, because we need the skills, right? And the medicine is not going to give us that, okay? So I want to be careful with when I talk about medication, because it's absolutely part of the picture for many children. And I'm not here to tell you otherwise, okay? But I need you to hear this. It creates like a window. It gives the brain chemical access. What it does not do is teach your child the skills they need to climb through that window and build a life. Think about it in this way. Getting through tonight's homework is not the goal. Building a brain that can handle next year, next week, next year's homework, going off into adulthood, maybe go study, okay? We want those skills to be developed, okay? And unfortunately, medication is not going to do that. And so many times, guys, parents will tell us, my child was on Ritalin or Concerta, and what I don't understand is the marks didn't go up, okay? The marks will not go up because your child is taking medication, guys. Doesn't work that way, okay? There's a lot of reasons why school marks don't go up, okay? And they have to learn. So I wanted to just give you a little bit of a sketch to show you the biology in very, not very simple, no textbook, no jargon, just normal, very flat. Your child's brain has a control center, and it sits right behind the forehead, and it's called the prefrontal cortex, okay? And this is the one part of the brain that is responsible for things like focus, planning, memory, impulse control, and also emotional regulation. Sorry, guys, I'm just letting people still in. Okay. And that's everything that we are all struggling with every day, right? And this is important. I'm going to show you an example just now. In the ADHD brain, this area, if they are the prefrontal cortex are 30% delayed in your ADHD children, okay? So I want to show you, if you look at this little diagram, the engine is the prefrontal cortex, the fuel is the dopamine. And in the ADHD brain, the tank has a leak, okay? So the dopamine drains faster than it should. So this car is not broken. It's not a bad car, but it will stall. It's going to make a noise. It's going to refuse to go when it's running on empty. Does that sound familiar? That is your Tuesday afternoon. That is your homework time. And that is that meltdowns that you struggle with so much, okay? The car is running on empty, and no amount of pushing, threatening, or punishing is going to fill that tank. So I want to show you this, just to make it much more realistic so that you can understand. Sorry, let me just close this. This is that delay, right? So I want to talk about, let's look at this year, our grade 4 students, right? So they are 10 years old. So they're now going to grade 4. And now it's when they have like 10 subjects. They are going from one class to another class. They have to learn different teachers, right? And we've got now Alison from Canada here, but in South Africa, there's this perception or this thing that people think, and sorry for the teachers, I'm not going to trample on your toes, but they are now big. They are supposed to, we have to get them independent, right? Yes, we can get them independent, but has anyone helped them to get there, right? So if we look at our grade 4s, they just finished term 1, right? Okay. They are operating, when we are talking about how they have to plan and execute tasks, they are operating on a 6-year-old's level. So is that fair, right? And I'm going to get to my analogy that I always use, is that they want to, but they can't, because no one has taught them that, right? Look at our 18-year-olds. That's our matrics, right? If they have been struggling in their high school, right, they are actually operating on a 12-year-old's level. That explains everything why they are struggling so much. Okay, I'm going to show you this. This is our little tree that we always use when we explain cognitive skills, executive functioning skills. So if you look at this tree, right, and this is really important. If you grasp this, everything is going to make sense to you. If someone phones us, whether it's a parent where they're complaining about their own child or the teachers complaining, they always give us behaviors. They complain about certain behaviors. Like I said, remember, behaviors are the communication tool that the child's brain is saying, hey, I need help. So we want them to be able to sit still and pay attention and do good in reading and follow directions and do problem solving and critical thinking skills, all of that. So we want them to be able to do all of that, right? But we know for them to be able to do that, everyone talks about your executive functioning skills. So that's where we have to plan and organize and time management, emotional control, impulse control, right? But what people don't, they leave this part out. The skills that are supporting our executive functioning skills are our core cognitive skills. So let's say, for instance, you want to teach your child we want to help them with a skill called task initiation, starting a task, right? You can give them all the strategies under the sun. If they don't have attention, and then I'm talking about sustained attention, divided attention, selective attention, okay? If they need impulse control, they need emotional control, right? So you are going to struggle to teach that to them because that underlying skills are not developed. Okay, so we talk about the foundation, the cognitive skills. So those are the invisible mechanics underneath this. So most parents, most teachers, most approaches to ADHD see the behavior. So we want all of the stuff there at the back, but they forget the problem lies underneath. Okay, so you can have the most beautiful homework routine in the world, but if your child cannot hold the instructions in their mind long enough to act on them, that routine is going to fall apart every single time. And then you think, oh, the routine has failed. It didn't fail. Sorry, guys, let me just admit people here. So this is why parents come to us telling us we've tried everything, and we believe them because they have, okay? So we need to start working there, okay? So let me show you this. So I'm just going to talk about 4 core cognitive pillars that we use in our business. So I'm going to quickly run through them. So if we look at attention stamina, right? This is not just whether your child can start something, but it's to stay doing that, right? And we know when they're doing something mundane, that's when they jump up and run down to go fetch something or go drink water or whatever, okay? So many of them, they can start, okay? But sustaining it is completely a different skill. But again, remember what I said, it can be built, okay? Working memory, big one, guys, okay? So this is the brain's ability to hold information while we are using it. So when you, for instance, are giving your child instructions, so I always use this example, quickly go to my room, go get my purse and go get my 5 rand for dad, okay? If they forget halfway where they're going and come back, that's working memory, right? When they lose track of what they were doing halfway through what they are busy with, and let's be honest, it happens to all of us as well as adults. You just move that one. Okay, working memory. Okay, when homework becomes impossible. Okay, so you are trying to do the homework and you're searching there, and they're all over the show. They can't answer. They can't keep up. Working memory. Okay, and then another important skill. This one, processing speed, actually is a very important skill that supports working memory. And this is how quickly the brain takes information that comes in through the eyes and the ears and then be able to respond, okay? So a child with slower processing speed isn't disengaged. You know, I always, when I talk to the teachers, I say, those are the students, when you look at them, the lights are on, but no one's home. It's those ones, okay? They also it will look as if they are not listening. Okay, they are listening, but you are going too fast. Okay, you are 10 seconds ahead of them. Okay, if you give them too much information. And then impulse control. This is the break. Oh man, and a lot of people struggle with this one, even adults. This is one of my biggest challenges was my whole life, right? And I can tell you, we've got research that will show you that 6-year-olds, boys and girls, 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds, the skill of impulse control is 80% of them don't have that skill at all. It develops as they are developing, right? So these students that especially when they go to the teacher and say, teacher, and then you will say, I'll get back to you. Even if when you are on a discussion maybe at your house, it seems like they are rude, they're not rude, they can't wait because they don't understand what it means, okay? So the pause between the feeling and the action in the ADHD brain, that break is underdeveloped, okay? So like I said, we always use that we first aim and then we shoot, okay? And again, it's not because they want to be difficult, right? Because the break isn't working at that capacity yet, okay? And again, guys, this is skills. Skills. Not character flaws, not signs of being defiant, okay? It's skills. And I want to tell you 2 things. Skills can be measured and skills can be improved, okay? And that is the good news, right? So this is everything, and this changes everything. This is my favorite slide that I want to show you, because every time anyone phones me, right, and they tell me all the challenges, everything they're struggling with, this is what I want to know, okay? And I think this question sits quietly at the back of every ADHD parent's mind, even if you've never said it out loud. Is it a I can't do it, or is it a I won't do it? And I want you to really think about that, because how you answer that question is going to determine everything that happens next. Sorry, guys, I'm just letting people in. The words you're going to use, the expectations that you are going to set, whether you walk into that homework battle feeling frustrated, or whether you walk in there having more compassion. Okay, so because when Henry was melting down at the kitchen table, and I kid you not, I thought he was choosing it. I always said you had your grandfather's temperament. Okay. Haragat. There's no, I don't know what's haragat in English. Haragat. Okay. I thought he knew what to do, but he just didn't want to do it. And I responded accordingly. I lost it. I promise you, because I have a lot of patience, but sometimes I just, I had enough. Okay. So I gave it, there was more pressure. I gave him a lot of consequences when he didn't listen to me and completed what I wanted to do. So what I didn't understand then was that his brain has been holding itself together the whole day at school in a system that wasn't built how his brain was wired. And by the time he walked through our front door, he had nothing left. Okay, and that's when the meltdowns happened. That was his collapse. So that was I can't, and I was treating it as a I won't. Okay, and I say it because it was wrong, but I didn't know what I know now. Okay, so this is the difference between what most people do and what we do, and what we believe is the better way, right? So the traditional approach starts at the top. So we look at expectations, we give them rules, we give them a lot of rewards. If they don't listen, we punish them. And look at the triangle on the left. It's upside down. It's unstable. It's built on behavior without foundation. And it's only a matter of time before it's going to tip. How we believe is a better approach. We start at the bottom. We start with a cognitive map. We find out exactly what is happening in the child's brain. And remember, like I said, if I say child, adult as well, before we decide what we are going to do. So if a parent phone me, I always tell them, I understand what you are saying, but I want to know, first off, is it because he can't do it or because he won't do it? And I need to see proof of your child's skill, right? Where is he lacking? Okay. And when we do, after that, we train. Okay. And then when we put the behavior and the routines on top, they have something solid to sit on. So we don't work around the missing skills. We believe you have to build them. And that's the difference. And it's not a small difference. We believe it's everything. So I wanted to just quickly show you a focus assessment. Now, again, let me just go back to my story. So at one stage, I was everywhere. Dion and I was everywhere. And at one stage, I had 6 professional reports lying on my dining room table. And if someone would have read through these reports, you would have thought that this was 6 different people. Now imagine an uneducated mom. I already feel so overwhelmed. I don't know where to go first. I didn't know what to do. And I'm not bad-mouthing the people that I went to because they wanted to help me. But the OT, let me just see. I don't know. The OT was looking through the OT's glasses, right? The speech therapist through their perception, right? So in the end, and everything was very, very subjective. So at that stage, and remember, like I said, my husband is a professor in chemistry and science and research. That's his thing. And he said, but listen, and especially when Henry was diagnosed with autism, these kinds of children mostly don't like people. And if you assess a child like that, the real person's capabilities is not always very known, or you can't see it. We created this assessment 13 years ago already. It was normed and validated on 3,300 data sets. But this assessment gave us the map that I'm talking about, right? There's no person involved. It's objective, scientific measurement of attentional control. So I work with facts and with numbers. There's no bias in here, right? And they don't have to read or write. I'm not going to go into the detail, okay? But I want to be very clear about this, what this is. It's not a label. It's not a diagnosis. We call it a map. Okay, it's a cognitive map of your child or a person's brain that shows us clearly which skills need support. Okay, you cannot teach to a gap you cannot see. And most parents are walking around completely in the dark about what is actually going on underneath the child's behavior. And the focus assessment turns on the light. We do 2 questionnaires with this so that we can have a holistic approach. But when parents come back to us after the child has done this assessment, and even teachers, guys, and like I said, I've done thousands of these assessments. If they see the objective truth, people will say, parents, and they would cry and say, I owe my child an apology because I thought they were choosing this, okay? And that moment right there, that is where things start to change, because now you know. And when you know, you can stop guessing and you can start doing what is actually working. And I'm just going to quickly tell you what I did. I can only share with you what I did. And again, I'm going to tread very lightly here because I was at the neurologist with Henry, started using the program. Within 6 months, they halved his medication. And within a year, he was totally off medication. Through the 18 years, we will never guarantee or put our heads on a block with this. But I can tell you after, and we've got loads of agents throughout South Africa that will testify to this as well. We've had children that could go off meds in collaboration with the doctors, right? Maybe lowered the dosages, and some of them stayed on the same dosage even while they were growing up, okay? And so this is the program that Dion found, that was research, that was backed by science, that was showing us and changing his behavior. And one of the first things, guys, that remember that sensory issues that he had when he got home, he was so overstimulated. And so one of the first things that I could see change was specifically that. And at that stage, I was at OT for 2 years already, specifically for sensory processing. And you know what? I didn't even know, as a mom, I didn't even know what it meant. Now, looking back, I understand it much better. And then that's why I understood why we weren't getting the results, okay? So I want to be specific with regards to what we do. And this is not about that. We've got other sessions with regards to the program itself. But we don't tutor. We don't tutor, okay? We train. We rewire the brain. So we use neurofeedback, a neurofeedback-based program called Play Attention. And what it does is it's going to build that cognitive skills that are underdeveloped, okay? Not working around them, we are going to build them. And we have got specific ones. Okay? The same way you are going to train a muscle. Targeted, consistent, and measurable, guys. Everything is measurable, okay? So with Henry, I didn't want him to spend his whole life just thinking I have to cope. I didn't want him to meet someone that he has to rely on the whole time, okay? So to grow the skills was very important for us. But it took time. It took consistency. It took a whole lot of patience, okay? Especially because I was working with my own child, okay? It was not a magic fix, and I will never pretend that it was, but it was real change. Here he is today, okay? The kind of change that's going to show up in actual life, okay? So that's why I'm so passionate about this. And like I said, after 18 years, we've got the track record that shows this, okay? So I want you to look at the slide for a moment. That tangled mess here in the left-hand side, okay? That's why life felt for me in the beginning. And I think that's how it feels a lot of times for you as well. You're just managing. You feel like you're only surviving, okay? There's temporary fixes. Another hard week, maybe next week is going to be better. Maybe next year is going to be better, okay? So the process in the middle there is not the glamorous, that's the hard work one. That's where we have to have patience, okay? And then at the right-hand side, that's the future. That's where we are going, okay? And what I can tell you is that this is real. And that's what happens when you stop managing symptoms, and start building the brain underneath them, Okay. Real, measurable neurological change. A child who doesn't just get through today's homework, but who's going to build the capacity to handle everything that comes after that. Okay. So I hope that this makes sense to you. And my last slide is, I've tried to share my story because I understand, right? And I want to, the one thing that I want to leave you with is just understand and get a picture of how your child looks so that you can understand, is it because they can't or they won't? And you know what happens? And I can really tell you this is through 18 years, especially with boys. Sorry, it is just like that. They struggle, and no one does anything. So they are saying, I can't, but no one is helping them. Then that I can't turns into I won't. And to reverse that takes a lot of time, effort, patience, because they just had it, right? So don't be proactive. Be proactive. Just have an understanding of how your child looks like, okay? And I want you to go to our website, okay? You will see we've got agents throughout South Africa. We've got in Namibia, Zimbabwe, Mauritius, Zambia. And soon we are going to have a branch in Portugal as well. So, and even if you are not where there's any agent, we can still assess you. I can do this assessment online. And our heart and our desire is just to make people aware of the fact that we have to understand the truth. I can't, I won't. Identify the specific skills, why we are seeing challenges, right? And then do something about that. Okay. So it's not a commitment to a long program. It's just the first step. It's turning that light on. Okay. Because really, here's the truth. Your child is not the problem. Or if you're an adult, so many adults that we talk to these days, when sometimes we test the children, and then the adult comes to us and they like, I struggle with this myself, right? So I think it's because ADHD is now much more out there and there's more education around that. And it's not the end of the world, guys. It's really not the end of the world. Again, I love my ADHD. It makes me creative. Marlies and I, we love it. We will never take any tablets for it because it makes us creative. It makes us resilient, right? So it's not a death sentence. Okay. So thank you so much. 40 minutes, it's a record. Okay. I'm going to open now if there's anyone that's got questions. Let me see. I've got chats here. Are there any questions? Okay. So Alison. Okay. Mignon. Oh, Mignon, you're from Namibia. You are always at my calls. It's always nice to have you. Alison, worldwide, the goal is independence without asking skills. Do they need to be independent? Absolutely. Okay. Any questions, guys? Did you learn something? Okay, let me see. Is there anything that you took home tonight with regards to this? Okay, costs. Okay, let me first get, is there any questions? And then I'll get to the costs. Okay, so please just put it in the chat. Okay, and also if there, what is, if you can say, what's one thing that you maybe have learned tonight that would make me feel that I've contributed to you being here, because we were actually a very big group tonight. Mignon, we are trying to find someone in Namibia. Okay, extremely informative. Thank you very much for the helpful information. I'm so happy. Okay, so the focus assessment, I'm not sure, there's not a name there. Range anything between 500 and 750 Rand. But again, our agents are in different areas and some of them add different elements. So the easiest way is just to go to our agents, and you can go to the website and go find it, the nearest agent. And also, you can go to our website if you are in an area where you don't have an agent. Like I said, you can email me and I can help and assist you for sure. Okay. ADHD overload situation was brilliantly explained. Oh, thanks, Alan. I appreciate that. And like I said, guys, I'm so proud of Henry. And he always tell people, listen, you can, whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. And this was not moonshine and roses, guys. This was tough. He was a hard nut to crack. But today we're sitting with the results. Okay, my son is at BioLink at Rustenburg. It helps a lot, but I need help with English and Afrikaans. He's not doing well with it. Okay, so Jolene, and this is so important, is that remember, lots of students, sometimes they come to us. Now that I don't know what grade your children are, but the skills, again, remember, if they are behind in skills, and especially with reading, attention plays a very big role. Processing speeds plays a very important role. And working memory plays a very important role, right? So the thing is, if they are behind scholastically, so there's a gap, right? There's a gap, a developmental gap. That's the same with maths and with reading. The skills, now that the skill is better, is not going to fill the gap. And that's where that is then when tutoring comes in. And I can tell you, we've got agents that's got reading centers, very big reading centers, that after they brought in BioLink as part of their reading centers, the students were going. And it's just because of that foundational skills that was developed. So again, don't think that BioLink is going to help with reading Afrikaans and English. Again, you will have to go back, and that's why you go to an educational psychologist to say, okay, my child is in grade 6, but he's reading at a grade 2 level. You need different help. The help that we are giving is giving you the skills so that if you get that tutoring in extra classes, that is going to help them then. Okay, I hope that makes sense. How do you get more teachers to understand the process? Brendan, we do webinars like this. We try and get them. And look, we've got a lot of teachers up here. And Mignon, like from Namibia, from Windhoek, she's always there. And you get teachers that want to learn more. We actually have 2 SACE accredited courses, one for pre-primary school teachers and then for the rest. And we are just busy with our planning to do an online SACE accreditation course for them. So you guys just need to follow us online or subscribe to our newsletter so that if we have that, we can get that out to you. Okay. Okay, Sarah, thank you. I realize I'm so hard on my little boy. He's in grade R, and his teacher just keeps telling me he doesn't listen. He can't sit still. Now I've got more information I can explain to see if I can help him. Exactly. Because really, and it breaks my brain if I hear something like this. Grade R, they are 5. They're supposed to be up and about, right? Okay. They are not supposed to be able to sit still. Okay. But we've got a specific program that we call I Listen. That's specifically because remember in grade R, listening skills comes before reading skills. So we have compiled a specific program with these cognitive skills and also a transfer program where we practice this. So that could be a very good foundational little course that you can do. So maybe you can just go and find an agent near you, or you can reach out to me if you want more information and I can share that with you. Okay. Okay. Time blindness is such a huge difficulty for both children and adults with ADHD as well. Often tricky to work with. That's absolutely the truth. And I can just tell you, again, with time blindness, it's all about creating awareness about how time feels. And I know this sounds very airy-fairy, but it's really like that. But there's different strategies where you make time visible. I want to invite you guys. I'm doing another webinar next Tuesday, also at 6, all about organization for our ADHD children. And I'm actually going to give you resources with regards to that. But again, remember, I can give you the tools, I can give you a little bit of structure and routine at home, but again, we need to understand that child's underlying cognitive delays right? That is preventing them to, for instance, be more organized. Okay, so you can go to our website if you would like to go to that one as well. Okay, will we be able to access the recording of your presentation afterwards so I can watch it again? Also, I have ADHD, late diagnosis, and not medicated. I'll definitely forget. Yes, I am definitely going to send out the recording. Okay. 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 You want to do the cursus? Okay. Brennan, I have to leave. Thank you, Karen. Very informative. Okay. Thank you. Let me just see. Haven't I missed anyone? Is there anyone else? I hope I didn't miss any questions. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? I hope you've enjoyed this. And because I mean it's such a broad spectrum, but just to get the basic out there without boring you, that's always our aim. Okay. Let's see. Can the equipment be rented or is the therapy done at the practice? No, unfortunately, the equipment can't be rented. Lisa, where are you from? Waar bly jy? So you like say again?
Pretoria, Pretoria,
Where in Pretoria are you?
Irene, Centurion.
Irene.
Yeah, but it's
Centurion.
like Centurion is quite large, so but we're in the Irene. Irene is kind of just next to Midrand towards Pretoria
Yes.
side.
Yeah, we actually, will you go to the website because you'll see we've got few agents in that area. Maybe you could look at the nearest one. I can tell you that we are having a business presentation in 2 weeks' time, and we have people from Centurion in that area interested in opening a center.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, we have an amazing group of agents. Oh, is it Marlies? I think it's my sister. Oh, my sister is on here. My sister is on here. She's saying, okay. All right. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. I'm so happy that you were here and I hope that you've learned something. I always say when I attend webinars and things like that, I always try and take one thing that I can take home and try and implement. And like I said, for us tonight, the aim was really to make people aware of the fact that you need to have more information before you can go further, right? To understand that. I won't, that's my favorite analogy. And because you want to really be able to 100% support your child and you need the right information with regards to that. Okay. All right, guys. So I hope you have a great evening further and we will send out this tomorrow, and Henry just wants to say bye. Okay, guys, have a wonderful evening. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yes,
Thank you,
Henry.
guys.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye. Recording stop.